What is going on, guys? Today we have another video. It is another tier list, and it's going to be the NFL head coaches. This one is one I've been sitting on for a while, waiting to do. So with that said, let's just go ahead and jump straight into this. Let's go over our tiers. First, we have the GOAT tier, reserved for very few people. Then very good, solid, heated seats. Their seats hot, not very good. Something's wrong with it. And then, how have you not been fired yet? Honestly, I haven't even looked at this, so we're gonna see how this goes. Yeah. So let's go and get started. First, we have Jonathan Gannon. I mean, he hasn't coached a game. He was the Eagles' defensive coordinator, so I think he was pretty good at that much. But I'm okay. I'm gonna put him here because we don't know nothing, and I don't have another tier for him, and I'm not gonna make a tier this video. Gonna break that curse right now. Arthur Smith, he's solid. He's had good success with nothing so far, so you got to give him that much. And I mean, that's completely fair. I get it. I'll give him that, but like, I just can't give him a ton more. So he'll sit right there. John Harbaugh. Oh, this one's tough. So I'm gonna put him here for a second, but let me just say this: he's a good coach. He probably should have been fired like 4 or 5 years ago. I'm gonna put him in the "How have you not been fired yet" tier. I think if it was not for Lamar Jackson breaking out like he did, he would have been fired a long time ago. And every time you see this team play without Lamar Jackson, you see why he should have been fired. They can't do anything without him. So he's a good coach. Don't get me wrong. He's run his course in Baltimore, and so it's not his fault. It is what it is. Sometimes you gotta move on. You gotta go somewhere else. And so that's where John Harbaugh is gonna land. Zach Taylor. This one's gonna be a little bit controversial too. I'm gonna put him at the very top of solid, and these tiers are not gonna be ranked in order completely, but like I'll do maybe some guys. But Zach Taylor was very bad with a bad roster, and now he's got a really good roster, and they're good. So it kind of correlates to the roster more than him. Not obviously a coach means a lot and stuff. So I'm not gonna put it against him. Solid, very good, maybe the very back end of very good, but I'm gonna put him in solid for now. I just feel like he's got a little more to prove still. Sean McDermott is a very good coach. You know what? I'll put Zach Taylor up there. I just kind of hit me. Sean McDermott's a good coach. I think he is a defensive coach who has an offense that has to be conducted in a certain way. And so him not being an offensive coach kind of hurts that a little bit. But I think if he was to get back to the ability to have his defense and, have it and be a good defense, which they're not bad, but they haven't been great. So they've been focused a lot on their offense recently, and it's turned into just a very offensive league in general. So I think he's a very good coach. He just needs to be in the right place. Frank Reich. Now, yes, he doesn't fit in the same tier as Gannon because he's been a coach before. I think he's gonna go in with our like this is kind of obviously not exactly. He's not on a hot seat, but I don't know if he's gonna have the longest leash because they have an okay roster and they've traded up for the one pick. So you better make it count. So if he doesn't make it count and they screw up, that's gonna fall on him. So I don't know how good he's gonna be. Like I said, he's a brand new coach, so he's really not on the hot seat. But I think he's a good coach overall. If we're just talking about him as a coach, I'd put him in solid. But with the situation he's in, I'm gonna have to leave him in heated seat. Matt Everfluss, I don't really know where to put him at all. He is a huge question mark because he's not done anything. I mean, they haven't been good, so you can't really say it's his fault because their roster's horrible, but they haven't done anything. And I mean, there's improvement with Justin Herbert. I mean, wow, Justin Fields, that was horrible. So I'll give him that much, but I'm going to leave him on the hot seat because I think if they don't do something this year, he's probably going to be gone. Kevin Stefanski, he's a solid coach. There was a lot of crap on his team, so I'll give him that much. Mike McCarthy, I'm going to put him in "How have you not been fired yet?" I think he's a fine coach. This whole video is going to be controversial. Y'all are going to hate me in the comments. Get over it. You'll get over it. But McCarthy's a good coach for the 2010s. He's out of his date. He's not in a place where he just doesn't fit this period of football. He doesn't fit the time. So I think he's gonna. I'm kind of shocked he's still there, and I think they're just waiting until he ends up getting fired. I mean, it's a waiting game. Sean Payton, I'm kind of addressing him a little differently because of the fact that he is technically a new coach, but he's very, very good. I'm just addressing him as him. He's obviously just a very good coach. I don't need to say anything else. Dan Campbell, solid. I would love to put him in very good. He's such a likable person, such a likable coach. But once again, he just hasn't done anything, so I can't do any more than that. Matt LaFleur, I'm going to put him in solid because he was really good with a really good roster with Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers, but they lose Davante Adams, and now he's just kind of nothing. So the whole team just went to nothing. So I don't know. I feel like he's kind of just a figurehead of the Packers when they were good, and so them being bad is kind of just his fault too because they only lost one receiver. And granted, it was debatably the best receiver in football, but it's just, yeah, I don't know. That's my opinion. Doug Peterson, I think he's a very good coach. I think he's underrated for sure. He's a very player friendly coach as that's known. He's very likable in my opinion. I don't see how you can dislike him. But he's bringing the Jaguars back around when they were in a horrible spot. They have a terrible GM, a terrible owner according to the fans, and all this other crap. But first year he's there and they become not a contender, but they look like something. And if I'm not wrong, they made the playoffs. I don't know. It's been a few months. I've slept. I don't know. Either way, Andy Reid, he is in the GOAT tier. Is he the GOAT? No. Do I think there's coaches on this list that could be better than him? Yes. We'll get there in a minute. Brandon Staley has a heated seat. I don't know whether he's good or not. I really am kind of leaning towards he's not. I think he's one of those analytical heads that came around like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago and just kind of took over the game of football for whatever reason. But is he that good? I don't know. So we'll see with him. Sean McVay is a solid coach. I think he's a little overrated in a sense. He's fine, but I mean, he had success with a really good roster. And I mean, even with Jared Goff, he had success with a really good roster. So I just don't know how good he is. Josh McDaniels probably should be fired. They paid him too much money to fire him. I mean, I just don't feel like he's a very good head coach at all. Mike McDaniels, he's a solid coach. He is just a really good coach. I mean, you can just see it. I think he's got a lot ahead of him. He's really young. I think that was part of why they kind of went on that win streak, losing streak, win streak, losing streak this year. So I think he'll be fine. I think he just needs a little more time to kind of settle into the whole coaching gig. Bill Belichick, we'll go ahead and put him right at the top of that list. Don't need to say anything. Dennis Allen might be the worst head coach in the league. Great defensive coordinator, but such a terrible head coach. Either way, Brian Daboll, very good. Won Coach of the Year this year. Deserved it, absolutely. He's interesting. He's turned Josh Allen into Josh Allen as their OC of the Bills. He turned Daniel Jones into something that can play football, kind of. So that's pretty good. I'll give it to him. He turned Daniel Jones into something that can play football, even though he only threw 15 touchdown passes. Robert Saleh is a solid coach, but honestly, he might be on a hot seat. But the hot seat doesn't mean they're just on a hot seat. That just means I don't think they're as great. But he's kind of in between here. I don't really have a place for him, but he's going to be at the back of this. I feel like he's good. He's got a decent roster, but their quarterback's just holding them back so bad. So if he can get a quarterback, maybe it'll really prove it, but you've just got to see it. Nick Sirianni, hot take. I think he's a very good coach. I think yes, they had a great roster, but the development of Jalen Hurts, I think, is a big thing, and that was part of one of these guys down here we're about to come to right here. But either way, I just think he is a good coach. I think you don't necessarily get to a Super Bowl without being a good coach. Mike Tomlin is one of the GOATs. I think you could argue him over to Andy Reid, which I think is a very combative statement that a lot of people don't agree with, but I do think he could be rated higher than him. I think Tomlin never having a losing season is an incredible feat that I don't think any coaches have really ever done. And Andy Reid's only really had true success with really, really, really great rosters. Mike Tomlin might not have won Super Bowls without the Hall of Fame quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger. I'm not saying he's better for sure, but the debate is 100% there when people don't give that credit at all. Andy Reid's only succeeded really with maybe the best player at the quarterback position of all time when it's said and done. So, either way, Pete Carroll, he's kind of a GOAT, But I'm gonna put him at the very top of very good. I think he's just he's a really good coach, but he's been around so long, and he's to the point where we kind of take him for granted a little bit. But he plays an old school type of football a little bit, but it's also he's adaptable, which I think makes him a very good coach. Todd Bowles, he needs to be fired. Him and Dennis Allen are definitely the worst two coaches in the league right now. Mike Vrabel, very good. I'm going to put him above Pete Carroll. Not that these are necessarily sorted. I would say the only ones that are sorted are maybe these three right here. But the rest of these kind of, you can put them anywhere. You can maybe even put these up here. I don't know. Either way, you get the point. Mike Vrabel's a really good coach. He knows how to manipulate the system, and that's like a Belichick type thing. And I think that's a really important thing to have as a head coach when a lot of them don't. He knows all the rules, forwards and backwards, and he knows how to bend them. And I think that is a very underrated thing as a head coach. Ron Rivera, this is going to be a hot one as well. He should have been fired a long time ago. I think Ron Rivera is a very well-known coach, and he's liked, but he just never really gets success. He just doesn't get it done. There's been one year he's had real success, and it was when he had an MVP on his team in a year where the MVP was a completely different player than normal. So I just don't really feel like Ron Rivera is all that. I don't know. I like Ron Rivera, but maybe he's in a tier above. He definitely is. He's not that bad. He's not this bad, and probably these two guys as well aren't that bad. But I just he just never really has actual true success. So I just can't give him that much. Kyle Shanahan, he's up here in this very good tier, somewhere around here as well. Like I said, these aren't actually ranked. I'm just talking. But Kyle Shanahan, I mean, there's not a better offensive mastermind in the league. He he can do some scary things with offensive that I just don't see as things to be that anybody else would get close to. So I'll give him there. D'Amico Ryans, I'll put him there. Never been a head coach. Was a good defensive coordinator, a really good defensive coordinator. I'll give him that much. But that's all I can say. Shane Steichen is a really good head coach as well. Can't really, or I mean, he was, excuse me, not a head coach. He was a really good offensive coordinator. Basically, was a lot of the development of Jalen Hurts. But I just don't know where else to put him. I can't really do a whole lot else other than that. And finally, Kevin O'Connell. I think he's a solid coach. He's kind of a hard one to rank as well. He's, I mean, he's good, but how good can he be is the question. I mean, I think last year was his first year being a head coach, if I remember right. So you're kind of just sitting here waiting on him. But they had a bad defense and they had a really good offense, and they were really good through the regular season. So I'll give him that. Put him in solid. So like I said, these aren't ranked in order. I'd say the only ones that are probably ranked are maybe these right here. Shanahan could even be ahead of one of these guys, though. I don't know. These are probably the top 4, maybe top 5 right here, but that's not necessarily in order, like I said, either way. But let me know what you guys think. This is going to be a hot one. A lot of head coaches are, people take these either way, and I think this one is probably one of the most highly debated topics in the NFL. So let me know what you think down in the comments. Let me know what kind of videos you want to see, if you got any other ideas that you want to see put into something. But thank you all for watching, and peace.